Greetings, my friends. Today, for my video, we're going to talk about Parkinson's disease. We know that many people do have this. They're diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I've lived with it. Joe, you've been living with Parkinson's for how many years?
7 years.
Okay. So I'm lucky to have Joe with me today, Joe Van Koeverden, and he has lived with this particular disease for 7 years, and he's going to tell us about it, how it has impacted his life, how he manages his life so that he still has quality of living, and also I'll be asking him about what kind of a support group he has here in Peterborough. So Joe, what was it like for you when the doctor told you that you had Parkinson's? What was your reaction?
Well, it was in a very emotional time because Parkinson's can only be diagnosed by process of elimination. That everything else has to be looked at, and eventually they say it can't be anything else, it must be Parkinson's.
Oh yeah.
And the final test is if the medication works on dealing with the symptoms, then they got it right.
Yeah. But again, you're saying dealing with the symptoms. So it's symptomatic that points to the existence of the disease itself.
Yeah.
And now I don't know too much about it, but is it a neurological disease, Joe?
Yes,
What's happening in the brain?
it's a neurological problem which is progressive, caused by the lack of dopamine in the brain.
Oh, I see.
And I kind of think of like dopamine as being sort of like the transmission fluid.
Yeah.
It keeps things moving.
Mm-hmm.
Allows transmission of thought to the motor drives. And mine became obvious on the left hand side of my body.
Oh, yes.
And that I stopped having the ability to type with my left hand,
Oh, yes.
and I was dragging my left foot a fair
foot,
amount. And some people thought maybe I had a mini stroke,
Mm-hmm.
that would have caused similar symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So that had to be eliminated as part of the process. I also am a cancer survivor, so some people thought it might have been a reoccurrence of cancer somewhere in the brain, and that had to be eliminated. So it took quite a while. It took over a year of tests to get to the point of totally frustrating my doctor, and he said, now today, rather than sitting with me and try to figure it out one more time, you go to emergency ward and tell them that it's progressing, little white lies, progressing rapidly. They're going to put you through all the tests again. They're going to know by the end of the day. And sure enough, I was there at 9 in the morning, went through a ton of tests, and at 4:30 in the afternoon, the neurological guy, well, you know what I mean,
I do what you mean.
came to me and said, "We believe you got
Oh,
Parkinson's."
I see.
And at the time, I was lucky to have some good support with me. A dear friend of mine, who's now my wife, she sat there with me, and we went through the emotional stages of really wondering how that's going to change our life together.
But so I have a sense that it was kind of shocking to you to face that diagnosis.
Yeah, because my doctor had eliminated that and didn't think it was Parkinson's, so I never bothered to do any research to understand what Parkinson's was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really the first stage you go through in the first year or two of having Parkinson's, is you have to accept that you have Parkinson's and start working to understand what it is and what your role is going to be in managing your end of the disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it must present you with a lot of unanswerable questions about your life and your physical well-being.
Yeah. Whether you can still work,
Yeah.
whether what you want to do with the rest of your life, how are you going to survive financially if you're not just didn't win the lottery,
Yeah.
you know. And so it does present a lot of crazy, and plus how quick is it going to progress? It's a progressive disease, and the expression is, if you know one person with Parkinson's, then you know one person with Parkinson's.
Oh, I see.
Because it can be very different from person to person.
Person to person, quite different, eh?
Yeah.
Does that mean different symptoms or different effects on the body?
Different effects on the body and different speed of effects.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's a young fella in town, he's our poster boy for our Super Walk this year. And he was 24 when he got diagnosed.
Oh.
And now at 26, he's really starting to lose his mobility, use of his legs, and he has. It's really sad to see him progress that far in 2 years.
In 2 years.
But it's called young onset. When you get that early, it's sort of like Michael J. Fox was young onset as well.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to curtail its progress at that point.
Yeah.
From that standpoint.
Yeah. Because you mentioned to me Michael Fox and others who have lived with Parkinson's, and yet, like Michael, have accomplished a great deal. So it doesn't mean the end of your life.
No, I think if you get to know what Parkinson's is and understand how it's affecting you particularly, then you got to create a lot of balance in your life with the new reality.
The new reality.
You need to look at your diet. You need to look at your physical fitness. You need to look at the activities in your life, the amount of stress you can deal with, the support systems you have around you. You have to recalibrate your whole life to adjust to this.
Adjustment. So adjustment is a big part of it then, eh?
Oh, yeah.
To a new way of living.
Yeah.
But you still, Joe, from what I know of you, with the 7 years, you have a good quality of life right now.
Yeah.
It's limited.
Yeah, it's limited. I'm limited in the number of active hours I have in a day because I do get to fatigue often.
Yeah.
But I can still have quality from a great number of perspectives.
Now, you mentioned that being progressive, there was the A, B, C, and D. Wonder if you could kind of fill me in on those 4 letters of what they are, what they mean as far as living with Parkinson's.
Yeah, that's a simple way I've figured out to explain to people. A stands for acceptance.
Acceptance?
And it probably took me 2 years to work through that emotional state of accepting I had Parkinson's and what it meant to change in my life. And acceptance is, I guess I call it the journey from the head to the heart.
To the heart, yeah.
You make that journey and recognize you've got to start thinking differently, looking at yourself differently, and loving the moment you do have rather than fearing the moment you're not going to have.
But that must be a hard journey from the head to the heart, because to accept anything is difficult depending on our personality. But then on top of that, this is a serious adjustment.
Yeah, and I'm a man too, so that journey is harder yet.
Yeah, us men we're strong, right?
We're head strong and heart not smart.
Yeah. So that would be the big number one.
Yeah.
I can see that because that applies to pretty near anything in life, of the struggle to accept adversity.
Yeah. And there's lots of worse diseases, if I can put it that way. I mean, when I went through cancer, cancer might seem to some people as a tougher disease, but by the magic of medicine, they can go in, cut it out, put you through chemotherapy, and today I'm 20 years clear of cancer.
Yeah, right.
So that's not bad.
That's good.
But the Parkinson's, I'll never get clear of.
Never get clear of it, eh?
Yeah.
So acceptance. And when you talk about acceptance, Joe, did you find, now some people keep things very secret, others have a tendency to let people know what they're experiencing. What was your motive?
Oh, at first I wanted to protect my privacy a bit because I was still employed. And I was hoping to still work for another 5 years. But then I found it very beneficial to talk to people about it and start to be open about it. And rather than have people wonder what's causing you to shake or lose your balance or stumble a little bit, thinking that perhaps you might have been tipping a little bit too much at noon at lunch or something like that, maybe it's better for them to know up front that you have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that we worry about is the public perception that they may think that we don't have an honest disease, we have a drinking problem or something. Or that word.
Yeah.
So that makes it easier but tougher, to be honest. I think I relate to you one example. I now do boxing every Monday and Thursday at the Good Life gym, and we're all Parkinson's. It's a whole class of Parkinson's people or their caregivers. And there was one gal that just joined us recently, and She had been diagnosed 5 years before, and since then she had never told anybody about it,
Right.
and she had never seen another Parkinson's person. She came to our boxing class because it got referred to her, and she just broke down, started to cry.
Yeah.
She was so relieved to see that other people with Parkinson's were in the class and joking and laughing and
Yeah.
living a relatively normal life
Right.
and enjoying the exercise we were doing and getting stronger and better. And I think now she's been coming for about 3 or 4 weeks, and what a change!
Yeah. Yeah.
What a change in attitude in her. It's so wonderful to see her smile and laugh rather than,
But it certainly reinforces the idea of being open about the disease if you're able
Yeah.
to be open about it. And somehow there's a big relief in sharing
Yeah.
our struggles and journeys, and people respond so well, to that. A, B, what's B?
B is the balance part.
Balance.
That's, it's funny because one of the things that we do have problems with is balance.
Yeah.
Just typically standing up.
Yeah.
And I guess I still fall once in a while because I tend to get myself into situations. I stretch my limits a bit.
Yeah.
This spring, for example, I fell a few times on the ice when I should have been wearing my cleats, and
yeah.
I wasn't. I fell a couple times on my bike because I wasn't thinking about what I was doing, and those sorts of things. But the great balance is to make sure that you've got an appropriate diet to go with it. I went on a massive diet change. Right now I'm fully vegan, so I don't eat any meat or animal protein.
Right.
And I do that to allow my medication to have its maximum impact on my body.
Oh, I see.
Because animal protein dilutes the medication or
Oh,
makes it not function well.
yeah.
And so that's one of the major changes that I've chosen to do. Other people choose to not eat meat anytime within an hour of taking or having taken the pills. So
Oh, I
there's
see.
an hour of safe zones. I think it's physical fitness. I lost 50 pounds since I've been diagnosed, so I'm still a big guy, but
Yeah.
I'm a smaller guy than I used to be. So that was a trial to get my weight down, get
Yeah.
healthier,
Yeah.
and balance in what you want to do. And I'm now fully retired, and I'm still trying to balance my life and limit what I do. But you got to give yourself enough rest time.
Rest is a biggie.
Rest is a big time because you will get fatigued, and if you're fatigued, that's when you're going to make the mistakes.
Mistakes. Oh, I see.
Now you're going to fall or hurt yourself. And a lot of people with Parkinson's, a lot of seniors overall, their biggest concern is falling.
Falling, yeah.
Whether they can get up, whether they hurt themselves.
Right.
We have a tendency to be more delicate on our skin and our bones.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's this whole balance idea. A new thing that's out a lot is Nordic pole walking.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Using like ski poles
Yeah.
to walk. And I've used them a lot. Last year I walked an average of 5 kilometers a day with the poles.
With the poles?
Because they prevent me from falling.
Yeah.
And as long as I could stay up and keep going, I
Right.
could get the appropriate amount of exercise.
Right.
So you got to find all these things. How do you balance between, what you can and can't do?
Can't do, yeah.
Find a middle road that you're happy with and can move
Can
down
do,
on.
right? But you mentioned the medication. So what is the medication? What's the schedule for that?
Well, that's another thing you got to balance because everybody reacts differently to the medication. So you see your neurologist, they recommend a certain dosage. You come back normally after a 6-month trial with that level, then they adjust it accordingly. And so they're trying to balance the type of medication you need. Now I take, every 3 hours I take pills, and those pills include levodopa, which is a chemical that's going to change into dopamine once it gets to the brain.
Oh, is that right?
So it needs to travel a fair way through your digestive system and everything to get to the brain.
Right.
And it crosses the membrane, changes the dopamine, and provides that energy your brain needs to do what it needs to do.
So every 3 hours?
Every 3 hours. I also take antidepressants.
Yeah.
Because a side effect of Parkinson's is normally depression.
Depression, yeah.
And I do have a history of a little bit of alcohol abuse way back when. Even though I'm 33 years clean and sober now.
Yeah.
I have to watch for that. So I have a little bit of medication, added medication to keep my depression from that part of my life under control.
Right. Because my understanding is that too is one of the symptoms that come out of depression, out of Parkinson's is depression.
Yeah.
Well, it's understandable.
Yeah, and well, it's depressing from how it affects your body, but also it is a true side effect. Yeah.
And does it really, Joe, I'm wondering, affect the whole body? Like it's in the brain, as you said, but our whole body, emotions, our physical abilities, like it's the whole person that's affected or impacted by it.
Yeah. In fact, the third stage, A, B, C. C is cognitive.
Oh, I see.
And C is where you're going to start seeing cognitive changes. That's ability in your brain to process information.
Oh, yes.
Like if you're a busy person, you're used to multitasking. If you're multitasking, you have an ability to what we call parallel think, parallel thought process. But once you get into Parkinson's, now you get into what we call serial thought processing. I only can do one thing at a time.
One thing at a time, eh?
So I'm not the type of guy who should be driving a car and trying to eat a sandwich. Anything like that. There's two different things that are occupying, your attention.
Yeah, so the brain doesn't function to allow you to do two or three things at the same time.
And switch back and forth.
Switch back and forth.
So a healthy brain can easily switch back and forth. Boom, boom, away you go.
Yeah.
But with Parkinson's, we start to feel that we can't switch back and forth. So when we're in a conversation, we may not be able to keep up to a fast-paced conversation.
Oh, yes.
Or two or three people talking at once.
Back and forth, for goodness.
In a busy room, it's like a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
If there's 20 or 30 people at a party and everybody's talking at different volumes and to each other, I just have to get out.
Get out of there, right?
I just don't know where to focus.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So that must be very difficult to cope with that.
Yeah, the cognitive decline is just something I'm really reading about now, because that's what I'm concerned is my next stage that I have to get ready for or deal with.
Oh, yeah.
And so you got to do stuff. I mean, B12 as a vitamin is considered very helpful. The normal stuff that other people do to reduce cognitive decline, due to old age or Alzheimer's is another one, or dementia. And dementia is a common traveler with Parkinson's.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we're 5 times as likely to have some form of dementia as a regular person is.
So that's A, B, C, and D.
And D is to recognize that it is a progressive disease.
Progressive.
And you will be on a constant decline.
And you've experienced that, Joe?
Oh, yeah. I think, where I was when I first got diagnosed, I improved my situation by creating that balance and reached a new plateau, which is a little better than when I got diagnosed, because most of my symptoms have been taken care of through the medication. So I don't have the tremors as much. My leg is fine. I can type with my left hand. But then you'll see it go down, but I fight it by doing the boxing exercise.
Oh, yeah.
And the boxing exercise is specifically designed for people with Parkinson's. In fact, Trent University, their kinesiology department, is starting a research project with us this fall on analyzing our boxing program and looking at the exact impact it has on all areas of our body. It's going to be really exciting study,
Yeah.
So, but it will cause a continual decline, and that decline can happen physically. A lot of people end up in a wheelchair, very, very immobile.
Yeah.
Mentally lower.
But you were saying, Joe, that, and now I may have misunderstood you, that you don't die from Parkinson's.
Yeah, that's true. It's not normally a disease you die from, but it could be a companion disease with something else.
Something else.
Where your body, if your body is not able to fight off other things, it could be pneumonia. Like my mother passed away from Alzheimer's.
Yes.
But the true killer was pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Because her body could no longer function properly. It isn't common to state that someone died by Parkinson's, but with Parkinson's. Yeah, as part of the contributing factors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Joe, the one thing I'm wondering about, because a lot of people with various struggles in life sometimes feel that, well, it's me, and feel very alone, and they are lucky or fortunate enough to find and join a support group. Is there a support group for people with Parkinson's here in Peterborough?
Yes, there is. We have one of the more successful support groups in the province. We have between 70 and 80 families in our group.
In Peterborough?
In Peterborough.
Wow.
And we have monthly meetings starting in September until June. Every third Tuesday, we have a newsletter that comes out. So people should try to get a hold of us. And you can get our chapter information through my own website. I have a website called www.joewithpd.
Oh.
And it's very easy to get to, and you can see our chapter news there.
Okay, give it to us again.
www.
Okay.
.joewithpd.
Okay. joewithpd.com.
.com. Yeah.
Okay, hopefully. Well, if anybody missed that, they can give me a call, and I could certainly hand that on to them, Joe.
Yeah.
So that plays a pretty big role in your life and in the lives of people living with Parkinson's.
Yeah. We're lucky to have Aon Garden Homes,
Yeah.
one of our partners, that help facilitate our meetings. And we always meet up at the Canterbury Gardens home
Oh, yes.
in their meeting room. And in September, our meeting will also have a seniors fitness forum.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have 7 different suppliers of exercise to us in Parkinson's that'll be there demonstrating their services that other people could take advantage of as well.
Mm-hmm.
We certified a local dance instructor to be a therapeutic dance instructor,
Mm.
and she has her own studio, so she
Mhm.
provides that. I mentioned Good Life a few times. We work with them in the boxing program. Active Living is a physiotherapy gym, which also helps us with Parkinson-specific programs. Traeger is a program that one of the gals offers. And we also have the Nordic stick
Walking.
pole walking.
Yeah, pole walking.
Whatever. So they'll all be there. We'll have, and Aon will have their in-house gal who does their wellness programs throughout all their operations.
Mm.
And that's going to be at Canterbury Gardens on September 17th.
Mm. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I get a sense, though, that it's, with all of this that you're talking about, the muscular thing is very much a part of the muscles.
Yeah.
Keep the muscles active.
Because if you don't use your muscles, you will suffer from atrophication, where the muscles just grow smaller,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And then with smaller muscles, you have less ability to do your your daily challenges, whether it be around the house or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us have problems doing simple things like rolling over in bed, getting
Yeah.
up out of a chair.
Right.
And there's specific exercises you can do to strengthen those.
Strengthen those muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a multifaceted treatment between the medical role that the doctors play and your own participation in your well-being.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find that some people get too depressed to invest in their activities?
Well, yeah, some people do suffer from depression, I agree. You know, and one of the so-called great comics of our time, comedian of our time, Robin Williams,
Oh, yes.
committed suicide after being diagnosed with Parkinson's with depression.
Yeah,
And he had a long history, though, of alcohol, drug abuse,
Yeah.
and depression throughout his career. So, but it's something that we all have to look after and prevent, you know, by our own attitude adjustments.
Well, Joe, we about run out of time. Is there any last thing you would like to say to our audience that you feel is like all you've talked about is important, but one last thought you would want to leave with people
Don't go at it alone.
alone.
Yeah, meet other people. You know, come out to the chapter meetings. Go to the exercise programs. One of the studies Trent did last year was the value of being in a class-like setting of similar-minded people who are having the same struggles, and just participating with them, laughing at each other,
Yeah.
joking around. That's what boxing allows. We don't hit each other boxing. We hit the dummies.
Oh, the dummy.
So it's a great way just to release frustration, but yet feel active and just be with people.
Yeah.
Don't lock yourself away.
And do the do they have a serious chance for, say, a round table discussion where people talk about their struggles as they are going through them? Various, maybe 1 week a struggle from one person, next week a struggle from a different person.
We do that in the chapter support meetings,
Oh, I see.
and also we split up the groups into two. One is the people with Parkinson's disease, and the other one is the caregivers.
Oh, right.
Because you can't forget about the caregivers.
Yeah, we
Like
haven't
this-
talked about that.
Normally the spouses and their role
Yeah,
in ensuring that the home life can continue and they can stay at home as long as possible.
yes, yes.
Very important.
Yeah, the caregivers will be extremely important.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good. Joe, I want to thank you for coming and sharing this to me. I personally have learned a lot from you. And I really appreciate that. And, you know, I guess in some sort of way, since I've got to know you, and I guess any support I can give you in any way, I'd love to do it, because
Super.
you're a great guy, Joe. And I want to really thank you for sharing so openly and giving people who tune in a chance to understand Parkinson's and see that there is so much help available to live a quality of life with this particular disease. So, Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Father.
Okay, bye-bye.